Welcome to Real Estate Riches, where Kathy Byrnes empowers realtors to achieve the success they've always dreamed of. Starting her career at 55, Kathy built a thriving business that offers the freedom of time and financial independence. And now she's sharing her journey to help others do the same. Whether new to the industry or looking to level up, this channel is your hub for proven strategies, inspiring stories, and the tools you need to grow your real estate business. Join Kathy each week to explore global opportunities, successful systems, and expert insights to take your career to the next level. Get comfortable, pick a video, and start learning. Your journey to success starts now.
Hey everybody, welcome to Real Estate Riches. I'm Kathy Byrnes, and my guest today is Ian Wheatley, and I'm excited to have you, buddy.
Hey Kathy, how's it going? I'm excited to be here.
Yes. So I was invited on to KGCI Radio, which Ian is in charge of the whole deal. And I was really honored because my podcasts are being played on there. And I'm running with all these other high-level agents, and I'll see press being done on me. And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to grab that. It's so exciting. But more importantly, and this is why I wanted you on. You know, 2024 was a horrific year for so many agents, a worst year in 35 years. And the truth is, and we were just talking about this earlier, is agents are not really trained. You know, I grew up in this industry where nobody shared anything. You just had to figure it out. And man, that's a hard path to go. And that's the difference that this radio station does. And that's what I want to talk about. So let's get a little background on you first, buddy.
Ooh, me? Oh,
Yeah.
I don't know about that. So, so I guess I'll talk a little bit about my radio journey, which kind of gets into the real estate journey, which then gets into the real estate radio journey, right? So I was in college and I wanted to be a teacher. I'm an educator at heart. Mm-hmm. And as I was kind of going through the process, I stumbled into my college radio station and I was doing work for the college radio station. Then I was running the college radio station.
Wow.
And then I was working for a big news talk radio station in town as well. And then sort of my career, I wanted to be a teacher, but I'm an educator at heart. Mm-hmm. Moved me into radio. And then for there, I was doing, commercial talk radio, news talk radio for an easy decade. And then I got into real estate investing. And then my agent, who is an independent broker owner, kind of convinced me to join his group. And I saw real estate sales as a vehicle to generate revenue and capital for future real estate investments. So I did that. And then shortly after I got licensed, he called me to say, hey, Ian, I'm taking my brokerage over to EXP. And I'm like, Ben, I don't know what an EXP is, but whatever, man, I'm just along for the ride. And that's how I always laugh. I fell bass backwards into EXP Realty.
I did the same.
And really happy that I did, because from there, built a pretty good production business. 2 to 3 dozen transactions a year, was in the 15 to 20% of top producing agents in our market in a good old Syracuse, New York. Mm. And time went on. And I'm still doing the whole radio bit as well. Conversation came down that there was this concept for a radio station, an audio platform that could be used to address the single greatest challenge in our industry, which is we do a poor job as an industry training and developing particularly new and rookie agents, right? Yeah. There's so much turnover between between getting your initial pre-licensing and licensing to needing to now turn around and get that license renewed, right? So many agents turn over and wash out in those 2 to 3 years, depending on your state and province. And so thus KGCI Real Estate on Air was born to say, okay, how do we do this? And how do we do this at a high level and effective level? And how do we leverage the power of audio to be able to address these agents' needs?
Boy, and I love it too. I love it. I love the concept of it because the biggest frustration that I started with Coldwell Banker. I went to Remax. I went to another small firm. I was at KW, and I too fell into this company, EXP. But the point was, everybody was very tight-lipped, closed doors. If you were succeeding, they weren't telling you anything because you were their competition. And so it was a scratch and claw to survive. And I think, oh, thank God the industry has changed so much. I mean, even the Facebook groups empower agents, at least the ones that aren't beating up other agents, but that's another story. But when I saw this, I thought it's 24/7, right? That this place. And you've got investors on there who teach agents who want to have that niche of investing. You teach, there isn't a subject I don't think that you're not touching on, would you say?
Oh, we cover it all, right? If it's real estate, I laugh, right? So I think of the NAR preamble, under all is the land, right? And literally when it comes to real estate, business building, we cover it all. We've got something in the ballpark anywhere, right? As of this moment, I'm sitting at 56 content partners, right? So if you're looking to have more success with listings, we got you covered. If you want to expand into luxury, we got you covered. You want to just scale your business, we got you. If you want more effective lead generation tactics,
yes,
got you there. Also, we have the tactics on how you can more effectively convert leads, right? There's, agents when they're getting started, there's always this dog and bone focus on lead generation. They never have that, and they don't even know yet to say, well, what about lead conversion, right? You could have the most active top of your funnel, but how are you moving people through the funnel? Like, these are just things that you don't know how any of that works is when you get licensed. And for a lot of agents, they don't figure it out for years and years if they ever do, right?
If they ever do.
So our agents, they're top producing agents, they're industry thought leaders, they're real estate business coaches, or even just general business coaches. Mm-hmm. And they're sharing their insights on business growth, industry trends, and productivity. And it's really just for one reason. And it's so that way that all of these agents that are listening to KGCI Real Estate on Air, they can succeed. And
it's like having a 24/7 coach,
right?
And that you're not paying for. This is free. You just go on to all the places, including mine's on YouTube as well. Where are all the places that it plays?
So Path of Least Resistance, realestateonair.fm. That's our website. So if you want the always free 24/7, 365 radio stream, that's always there. And then from there, we also are able to link off to most of our content, not all of it, because there's a lot of content, but most of the content is also on podcasts. And that is literally anywhere you listen to podcasts. So if you're a Spotify person, Spotify. If you're an Apple Podcast person, you're there. If you're Audible, Amazon Music, got you there. Literally, iHeartRadio, literally anywhere you're listening to podcasts, you can just punch up KGCI. So that's how you can find us on the web. That's how you can find us on podcasts. If you're really all in, I tell people we're on mobile, right? We got a mobile app, right? So go to your Apple App Store, go to Google Play, search KGCI, like K gross commission income, right? It's that simple. Search KGCI, and then you can download our mobile app, and right there onto your phone, the benefit of that's going to be, that's our stream. Again, it's free. Those are all of our podcasts. That's all free. And as you're hitting the road, the integration with our app to Android Auto or Apple CarPlay is seamless. It's beautiful. It plugs right into that center stack infotainment system as if you were listening to the radio.
Yeah, I listen to it in the car a lot myself. And I think you even have it on like AI, because AI is such an important piece in our business. You had different speakers on that too, right?
Yeah, we can cover everything, right? So with 56 hosts at any given moment, we have our content library has breadth and depth, right?
Yeah.
And so we have this feature. It's every Friday. It's called our Friday Focus. And if someone's never listened to KGCI, this is where I would tell them, listen to us on Fridays, right? Okay. Because that's where we flex our muscle. That's where we that's the day.
That's the day.
That's the day. Because what we can do with that is I can say, okay, I'm going to drill down on insert topic here, whether that's lead generation and conversion. what, how to effectively use a CRM, right?
Yeah.
Whether that's what are the best AI tools for agents in 2025, right? All these different areas that all of us probably have YouTube searched about and just can't, and we just like give up trying to find an answer, or we stumble across something that's useful. And then now we got to pay like $500 for some seminar, right? It goes one of two ways, right? KGCI, it's always free. The content's there. The information's there, right? But our Friday Focus allows us to just go 6 straight hours on the topic, right?
Wow.
You will be thoroughly answered 8 ways from Friday, I guess, in this instance. But
wow, that's awesome. I saw that you were doing something special on Fridays. I raised my hand. I'm like, I'm in.
And here's the thing, right? Like we also have our Mindset and Motivation Monday, right? I call that the kick in the pants. Those are the high level success stories. Those are, going beyond like the hashtag Monday motivation. We get into like the bit of the mindfulness practice, right?
Right.
One of our hosts there, Aaron Hendon, he's the co-host of the Mindful CEO, and he's a top agent and he's a mindfulness coach. So we even have this intersectionality between the practice of mindfulness and real estate, right?
Wow.
Also where you can hear some of the, because, Kathy, you and I are both eXp Realty agents, the icon, those are the upper echelon of agents at eXp Realty. You get to hear from Icon of the Year, Jessica Nieto, the queen of all social media, Gogo Bethke, is parked there on our Mindset Motivation Monday each week. And it's an entire day that's just an exploration of the entrepreneurial spirit.
Yeah.
And just making sure that as a real estate agent, it's so hard. It's so easy to burn out. It's so hard to stay straight and stay focused. But, we make sure that you have your head on straight.
I'm in, as I mentioned, some of those Facebook groups, really not because I'm looking to learn anymore. I'm looking because there's so many raising their hand like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can make it. And periodically I'll drop in the radio channel because they'll even post anonymously because other agents will beat them up. And I'm like, I don't want any part of that. I usually call the people out that are beating them up. I'm like, were you ever new? How did you do this?
Right.
And where you can't beat each other up. That's the bottom line. And I think that this is such an empowering tool for agents to be able to really level up, to even think things they didn't know they needed to think. That's part of it too.
Well, right. I mean, I remember I had a radio program director who once told me when I was kind of getting going, it's not a knock, Ian, but you don't know what you don't know.
Yes.
Right. Like you're pretty smart, but you don't know what you don't know. And when you can accept that, based on your life experience, you only have so much knowledge, right? There are other people that have walked, maybe you're at a similar place, but they've walked a different path. So they bring different things to the table, right? So there's always that in just, having a community and a connection and a tribe of people around you, right? It's always good to have like if you're training for a marathon, I've run some marathons in my day. If you're training for a marathon, it's a lot easier if you have a training buddy. Just someone to kind of help keep you accountable. Someone's in the same place as you, but you also need a coach, right? You need a mentor. You need the advice of people that have walked the path ahead of you that can show you the path. And that's what KGCI Real Estate on Air is all about, right? That's what our agent content partners are here to do. Like yourself.
I love when I'm listening to some of them, I'm going, man, I didn't even think of that, and I love that. I love that when that happens, because now that puts your creative juices going on, or, oh, wow, that software sounds amazing to be able to put this into play, or this is going to save me time. This time management system sounds like something I could do, because there's a lot of different things that are put before us. We're sold so much stuff. And because we're salespeople, I'm speaking for myself, I probably buy every single thing foolishly. And that's a lesson in itself. That I've done a video on. Stop buying everything that they're pitching at us, because there's no time to even learn some of the stuff before you're already bought something else.
Beware the squirrel, Kathy. Beware the squirrel.
I have one to remind
You have one? Look at that. Just to remind you. I'm right there with you. I mean, I swear, it's like if I'm doing if I'm doing a call session because this is the time of year I'm up in upstate New York, right? So there's a seasonality to our market, right? So Q1 is really all about just ripping through the database, right? Checking up on everybody, make sure everyone, see how everyone's doing, check up on past clients, all that fun jazz. But my call sessions, right? Because I'll line up like 50 calls in a shot. My call sessions don't get interrupted by my past clients or folks or leads calling me back. That's not what it is. It's the person from schedule thing that wants me to book a call for their whatever tool. And I go, oh, you guys are productivity killers. Like, no. And you threw me off my mojo. Right? You wrecked my time block there with your
I know.
squirrel.
I set timers for myself constantly, like all day. I'll look at my calendar. I'll see what's going on, make sure that I don't miss it for one thing, because I get distracted. And so I'll put that timer on, and man, that saves me so much, because I'll be busy being distracted and all of a sudden I'm missing my own Zoom.
Right. That's the thing. I was having so, one of the benefits of KGCI Real Estate On Air for me is the guy who I'm not the leader of it. I'm the maitre d', right? I kind of manage the show, right? Mm-hmm. But we have, a lot of our agents are US based agents. We have some Canadian based agents, but we also have a little bit of an international flavor, right?
I was going to ask you that.
Yeah. So we have agents that are in, if somewhere else in the world they call it Oceania, here in the United States we call it Australia, right? Oh. So we have Australian agents. We also have agents from South Africa, right? And other parts of the world. And I was having a conversation with one of those South African agents. His name is Stuart Hislop. His podcast streams on KGCI Real Estate On Air. But he's a real estate coach, right? And he's also a general business coach. And we were having this conversation really just a couple of days ago. It was about time management. It was about, the 7 key steps to be able to really avoid some of those typical pitfalls that agents into. And one of the things that he said to me reminded me that nothing is actually urgent.
I've had that said to me before, and I struggle with that.
I know, right? As agents, we all struggle with it, right? Because there's a balance there, right? But it kind of comes into communicating to, and if you're a newer agent, like it's really hard to say this to like an inbound call, right? Hey, inbound call. Hey, customer, right? You're not a client yet. You're a customer. Hey, customer, I have an appointment. Can I call you back at X? Right? Does 2 things, right? And you're not necessarily on an appointment. You're not at a listing appointment. You're not showing a house. You're just doing your calls at that point in time.
Right.
One of the benefits of being able to do it that way is it also makes you not necessarily sound busier than you are, but that you take your schedule seriously.
Yes.
And that communicates authority. Mm-hmm. And that's where a lot of new agents struggle with kind of chasing calls often comes down to they lack the authority. They feel they don't have the authority, and they do, right? They are entrepreneurial business owners, right? You control your schedule. You have the authority. Like, if you, not that you're looking for my permission, but agents, you have permission to say, not this exact moment, but give me a couple of hours, and I will call you back.
Right.
It's okay. And when you do that, right, that helps you manage the time, manage the appointments, manage the things that you have to do. It also allows you to set your time block to listen to KGCI Real Estate On Air and make sure that you're getting all the good insights, because these are the things that we talk to agents about 24/7, 365, right?
Yeah.
How do you manage these aspects of your business, right? Because we're all agents or we're all real estate adjacent, right?
Right.
And we understand the challenges of this industry. This isn't just, hey, how do you time block and manage your time for any business, right?
Right.
These are very actionable, direct conversations about how agents can implement these strategies and tactics into their real estate business, because they're coming from real estate professionals and people that are practitioners of real estate at an incredibly high level.
Yeah, it's great. It's funny. I was at a church on Sunday, and the subject was all about rest. and you know how we live attached to our phones. And would you just turn it off for a couple hours? And I go, oh my gosh, I almost had withdrawal just from having a conversation. Funny thing was though, I was working really hard on my video platform, trying to get the tonality right on my skin and stuff with my camera with a new platform, and going on ChatGPT, taking pictures, putting it in, you know, giving it answers, getting stressed beyond belief. Well, I kept getting notifications on my phone that were distracting me because my phone was going to be the camera. So what I said, well, let me just put it on airplane mode, which I forgot that I did. And so the next day, I'm at BNI, my networking group, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I've had it on airplane mode. No, and I'm like, who did I miss? Who did I miss? I didn't miss anybody.
Right.
Nobody, because my family would break through that. At least I think they'd break through airplane, maybe not. Oh dear. Okay. Well, anyway, my point was I didn't die.
The world didn't end.
Yes.
Right? Here's the thing, sometimes the best boundaries are the inadvertent boundaries that you set, right? But, you know, you set this boundary, right? And nothing cataclysmic happened, right?
Yeah.
I remember I started time blocking because I didn't want to, it wasn't even that I didn't want to have to do any real estate conversations or anything on a Sunday. I was like, I just need to not show houses on Sundays, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I just blocked out Sunday, kind of worked through that. And that eventually kind of spilled over to the weekend. And I mean, it's really rare. Like you've got to be, when we talk about, you know, our sphere of influence, like you've got to be like close at this point for me to want to give up the basketball game for my kids to show the house. Right.
Yeah.
And, you know, when I first started getting into real estate, I didn't really have kids in a ton of activities yet. Right.
Yeah.
And you kind of learn these things. You're like, oh yeah, I can't really miss that. Right. So you kind of do some of this stuff out of necessity. But, you know, time management is one of the biggest things that a newer agent or a rookie agent struggles with. Right. What is the effective balance of lead generation calls to, you know, what's the effective focus on spending the time at the top of your funnel versus down here? And then if you're just doing general prospecting or just following up with past clients, like what does that balance look like? You know, these are all things that we speak to chapter and verse on KGCI Real Estate on Air 24/7, 365. That's the best part, right? And then if you miss it on the stream, it's sitting there literally anywhere you listen to podcasts, right? And it's all content that isn't designed to try to sell you a seminar. It's all free. It's all there and it's all actionable. And it's easy.
That's the biggest thing. Business. It's not pitching something else. I love that because honestly, as a realtor, I am sick and tired of being pitched. You know, yes, I need to learn, but could someone just give me stuff just out of the goodness of their heart, you know? Right. And that's what this is. This is really wealth, immense wealth being given out 24/7, as you said. And when I heard about it, I couldn't wait to participate. And I was waving my hand, like probably tracking you down like a junkyard dog, like, pick me.
That's okay. We picked you. But here's what I always think about with Real Estate on Air and what its objective is and what its purpose is, right? You know, in radio, we develop these things called target listener profiles. In real estate land, in real estate business land, we call them our client avatars, right? You know, you do the same thing, right? So when you build a target listener profile for a radio station, I mean, you get pretty granular, right? Like you even name the person, right? I won't share our target listener's name because that's just weird, right? But you name the person, you figure out, you kind of go, okay, how old are you? What were those significant years of your life? When did you graduate from college? When did you graduate from high school? And you try to put the whole avatar together, the target listener profile, even like down to interest. Like what was the hit song on radio when you were like a sophomore in high school? Those kinds of things, like to really figure out like what snapshot in time, who is this person, right? And then from there, you can kind of extrapolate what their interest may or may not be and so on and so forth. You know, when we do this for radio, what the person that we're talking to on KGCI Real Estate on Air is an agent who's, you know, they've gotten over that initial hump, right? They've made the decision to stay in this industry, which is hard when we think about how the last 18 months have been, where you've had something in the ballpark of half of the real estate agents in the United States have done either one or no transactions.
Right.
And the majority of that half is none. Right. That's a sobering number. It's a sobering statistic about kind of where we're at in the industry that we can't necessarily help bring people along. Right. So with KGCI, right, we're there for those that want to stay in this industry, for those that are committed to being practitioners of real estate. We are here to make sure you have all of the tools necessary to be successful, right? Whether you are trying to figure out what are the squirrels worth buying. We'll tell you the squirrels worth buying. We'll tell you the squirrels that are worth investing in because our agents have tried all these different squirrels. They know what works, they know what doesn't work, right? You're able to have these pseudo coaches, right? You have to hold yourself accountable. That's the trick, right? That's where this radio station, if I could have an accountability group, I mean, it's game over, right? But you have to be able to hold yourself accountable. And if you can hold yourself accountable, the information is right there, right on your phone. It's here, right? That's all you need to do. You download the KGCI app from the Apple App Store or Google Play, and whatever you think you need to learn about, we will tell you all about it. And then you don't know what you don't know, right? We'll be able to inform you on that phase 2 and phase 3 that you don't really know about yet. Right. That you're going to uncover, I need to know more about, lead generation, lead conversion. I always come back to it, right? It's like the thing, right? Mm-hmm. If you're generating leads, you need to be able to convert them effectively. Because you don't need to generate so many leads if you can convert effectively.
Yeah.
I always go back to those because that's also when I'm fielding the agent listeners at KGCI. That's like one of the big things. The other one is obviously like marketing and branding and social media. Like we cover that, right? We have some of the top real estate agent influencers, right? When you think of like the Go-Go Bethkes of the world or the Holly Kitchens of the world or the Ricky Caruths of the world, right? They're on the air.
Yeah.
And what's fun is they're telling you how they did it.
Yeah.
Right. So if you want to be the real estate influencer of your market, right, they're telling you how they did it. They're telling you how they were able to establish these brands and what social media tools they've been able to use and leverage. And again, these are not agents that, did this years ago. These are agents that today are doing this, right? Yes. So they're giving you the 2025 perspective, not the 2019 perspective that you end up stumbling on YouTube because that's the one that's the most viewed video and up for half a decade at this point.
Yeah, that's why I really wanted you on here because there's so many agents that are feeling so desperate for help, and here's free help, and it's attainable, like you said, 24/7. So come on, and I was so excited when you said yes because I didn't know if you would, and
you knew I was going to say yes.
I was hoping. And I just know that I know how beneficial it is. And I know where people are coming from that are the speakers. They're coming from their hearts to give. And that's a big deal without the agenda. Now, like you said, there are things that you're going to need to buy and they're going to say, go get this or go get that. They may or may not be attached to it. Right. But it's not a pitch for them to make some money on something. That's really a big difference. That's
the huge part. Like, I can think of a perfect example. Like I can think of a bunch of the hosts that, do a lot of cold calling, right? And they'll tell you, if you're going to be doing cold callings, right? And they explain why you need these tools, right? So there's the dialer tool, like a multi-line dialer tool. Why do you need that? To leverage your time. But you also need to get the data, right? So they tell you, so these are these are data sources. So you need two things to be a cold caller, right? You need a multi-line dialer and you need the data in order to execute the call, right? Mm-hmm. Those are expenses, right? Right. And some apps have that kind of rolled into one package sometimes, and so you get that explained to you, right? So it's not so much a pitch for a product, right? It's not like it's multi-line dialer system trying to pitch you to buy their thing. It's just, right. If you're doing it this way, here are the tools that I use, and here's how I use these tools in my business. Mm-hmm. It's not even like a heavy-handed sell. It's just a statement of fact. These are the tools I use to leverage to find this level of success. So during NAR, this whole past year,
I know Leo Perea, he was all over the media. I don't know if he had a podcast that was on here or not. Did he? Where he was talking about NAR?
No, I mean, so fortunate to be an agent at eXp Realty because I'm I'm a little bit aligned in that ecosystem, right? So we were able to kind of get a little bit of use out of, some of the things that eXp Realty was producing, right? So what I'll say about Leo is, he has a podcast. It's called Real Estate Success Stories, right?
Oh, yeah.
So he has a podcast, but doesn't necessarily directly address NAR. But a lot of the content that we had, right? This was incredible. We had Leo Perea, who is, when we think about thought leaders in real estate, he's among them, right?
Yeah.
So you have him kind of sharing his insights on every phase of how that went out, from the initial announcement to some of the corrections, to some of the, how is this going to impact, policy, process, and procedure moving forward. But we also have a lot of our top level agents.
Yes.
Right. And because what's wild is because this is an international radio station, right? It's interesting to get the perspective of the practitioner of real estate where they have kind of always had to do this, right? Whether those are certain states in the United States or whether those are in other countries where the real estate practice is fundamentally different. That like if you don't have a representation agreement with a buyer, you are just not getting paid. Like there is no if and or but about it because they're the ones who pay you. So how do you structure that was some of the power that we were able to leverage with KGCI and our international hosts was,
perspective.
What does that value proposition look like?
Yeah.
Right? If the seller actually says, no, we're not negotiating any compensation for a buyer's agent, how do you put the value proposition so that way that doesn't get in the way writing the contract? How do you as an agent, as a buyer's agent, what value are you bringing, right? So going back to Leo and going back to all these other agent partners that we have on KGCI, they were just giving it away. Like, here are our value propositions. Here is what our process is. Here is how we secure buyer representation agreements. And in my practice in real estate, I've routinely, but not always, done buyer representation agreements. But what I always do is I always do a consult with a client.
Yes.
Because before I show a house, because that's not for that. It's for me. It's for sanity, right? It's so that way I'm not, every single time Zillow calls me with a lead, I'm not blowing the doors off to go like show a house and, walking out of the middle of my family like during dinner. Like no one wants to do that, right? Oh. That's not a sustainable business strategy. So I would always do a consult first. And, one of the interesting parts about that whole NAR settlement is we have all these agent partners that are just giving it away. We have some thought leaders on our station that are just giving it away. And agents found it, right? If the NAR settlement and the tumult of uncertainty that it created is what forced a lot of agents to find KGCI.
Yeah.
And from there, we've been able to secure an audience and they've stuck around, right? That's the thing is, there are agents that, there's a line of demarcation, right? There are a couple line of demarcations in my data, right? There's the day we launched, like with any radio station, like you launch a radio station, there's a ton of listening, like absurd number of ears on it. And then it kind of goes away and then it slowly builds back up from there. Mm-hmm. It's typically what you see when you launch a radio station. That's what the data does. Except for you get to the NAR settlement announcement and you just backtick.
Yeah.
And it stayed. And I was like, okay. So that informed me that, there's a lot of agents, they needed that information, right?
Hungry.
And so a lot of that was a lifeline for a lot of agents that were tuning into KGCI.
There were so many firms where there were smaller firms. The big and broker owner, they didn't know what the heck to do.
Right.
And so they were looking for a lifeline themselves. And so all of this is a lifeline. Leo was a lifeline to the whole United States. I mean, he was giving information, helping dramatically. But, well, this has been wonderful. And I really am glad that we did this so that we're going to have all your information on here. So everybody's going to know how to get in touch with the radio and watch it. And kudos to you for running the show here for us. And
Maitre d'.
Maitre d'. But I appreciate it. I'm grateful for the concept to have been created. I'm grateful for all the agents that are struggling and need to know about it. And I myself, I promote it all the time because I believe in empowering other people, and that's what this does.
You know, and Kathy, it's agents like you, right? Because, you know, it's a great concept, but without agents like Kathy, there isn't the content, right? And so what I would say is if you're a real estate agent that's out there that is similarly minded to Kathy and myself, that, you know, we're in this to inspire, right? We're in this to help other agents grow. We all understand what the greatest threat in our industry is, and that is agent development and training, particularly after pre-licensing, right?
Yeah.
Have a conversation. I'm around, you know, we can partner, we can do some things. There's 24/7, 365. That's a lot of hours, right? I will save you a rendition of the musical Rent, but you know, there's a lot of minutes, right? There's a lot of minutes, and that we got to fill, and we got to fill them. So if you're out there and you're fighting the good fight, yeah, we should have a conversation.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. Well, thanks again so much. And don't you just love this, everybody? I'm so excited about you seeing it and checking it all out. So I'll have all that information below. So be sure and check it out. Get the app on your phone. That's where mine is. That's the easiest place. So thanks again, Ian. I really appreciate it.
Kathy, the pleasure is always mine.
So thanks for joining me on this episode of Real Estate Riches. Wasn't that great? I'm sure you got a nugget or two. I know I did. So if you liked it, please subscribe below, share it with everybody, make some comments. We really find that invaluable. And if you're thinking that you would love to talk about this a little bit more, let's schedule a business strategy call. I'll have the link below. And let's see if we can't mastermind together and see if we can empower each other. That would be great. So until next time, signing off. Hope to see you on the next one.